Would you dare trade your natural face for a perfect mask? Today, we're uncovering the most shocking records in cosmetic surgery history, from the tragedies of top superstars to the oddities who have erased their human identity with their own hands. Don't take your eyes off the screen, because the line between masterpiece and disaster is only a needle away. Join me in this challenge. If the upcoming stories shock you, comment 1. If you still believe natural beauty is priceless, type 0. Hit like and subscribe immediately, because the door to this strange world is officially open. Imagine the dazzling 1970s, a time when the name Lin May was not just a title, but a symbol of ambition. The velvet rose of the Latin American stage, she once captured the hearts of millions with her enchanting dances and beauty, which was compared to a masterpiece of nature. At the height of her fame, Lin May was the embodiment of perfection that every girl dreamed of and every man adored. She lived in the spotlight with endless applause, believing that the spring of beauty would last forever. But the rule of time is a cold, relentless enemy that never sleeps. As the first signs of age began to show, the greatest fear of a star approached obscurity. The pressure to maintain the image of the ageless goddess, combined with the desire to correct an innate flaw, pushed her into a precarious mental state. It was then that the line between sanity and obsession began to blur, paving the way for a hasty decision that she would later pay for with her entire life. In her most vulnerable moment, Lin May placed her trust in a false promise wrapped in sugar. Instead of seeking help from legitimate medical professionals, she was lured by the sweet temptations of unscrupulous profiteers. An mysterious compound, disguised as a miracle anti-aging elixir, was injected under her skin. Little did she know the forbidden liquid wasn't a fountain of youth, but a ticking time bomb waiting to destroy the natural structure of her face from the inside out. The result wasn't a miracle, but the collapse of an icon. The strange compound betrayed her body, causing irreversible permanent changes, turning a once proud face into a mask of physical and emotional pain. Lin May's story is no longer just a personal tragedy, but a living precedent in the history of cosmetic surgery. It serves as a stern warning to anyone considering entrusting their body to unregulated clinics. Never gamble with your health in a game you don't control the outcome of. While Lin May sought youth, Dennis Avner was searching for something much deeper, the essence of his soul. Known by the nickname Stalking Cat, this man didn't modify his body out of vanity, but due to a powerful spiritual calling from his ancestral bloodline. A former military veteran and technology expert, Dennis chose a solitary path to transform his mortal body into the embodiment of a tiger. This was not just surgery. It was a process of living sculpture. 14 complex interventions, ranging from altering bone structure and subdermal implants to the smallest details like teeth and whiskers. He blurred the biological line between human and beast. Despite public opinions being divided from a documentary perspective, Dennis stands as proof of the power of human will in shaping one's identity. He lived true to the form his soul longed for, accepting every gaze in order to be himself a living, vibrant, and wild work of art. Jordan James Park, also known as the King of Lips, is not just an aesthetic enthusiast, but a rebel rewriting the visual rules. While most people view the body as a sacred temple to be preserved intact, Jordan sees himself as a living clay sculpture awaiting the artist's hands to shape him. Inspired by lavish pop culture icons, he has transformed himself into a contemporary work of art where all inherent boundaries of creation can be erased and restructured. This journey began with a public medical incident broadcast on television, an event that would have made anyone hesitate in fear. But instead of retreating into the shadows, Jordan plunged headfirst into the whirlwind of change with a fiery passion. For him, each surgical intervention is not an act of fixing mistakes, but a step toward ascension in the ritual of self-creation. He openly embraces this endless loop, seeing it as an inevitable journey to reach the perfect version of himself existing only in his mind, regardless of the wary glances from the outside world. Despite defying all traditional norms, Jordan's existence raises a profound philosophical question for our era. Ultimately, who holds the power to define beauty? Is absolute freedom in altering one's appearance the strongest declaration of personal identity in the 21st century? His unique face is no longer just the result of medical intervention, but a vivid testament to how far a person is willing to go to control and determine the form of their own being. Is absolute freedom in altering one's appearance the most powerful proclamation of personal identity in the 21st century? From a television disaster to the proud king of lips, Jordan has proven he never regrets his passion. What do you think of this relentless transformation? Type 2 if you find this journey fascinating and admirable. Type 5 if you think it's too extreme and not for you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to join me in exploring more unique profiles like this one. From the dazzling stages of Russia, Julia Tarasevich was once the epitome of graceful beauty, a beloved runner-up admired by many. But her desire to hold on to youth pushed her into a cold nightmare of real life, turning to masters of the scalpel. With the hope of fine-tuning the traces of time, Julia never imagined this would be the beginning of the downfall of her beauty. That fateful surgery didn't bring back youth. Instead, it robbed her of the most basic human ability, the ability to close her eyes and smile. Her facial muscles were sealed, paralyzed completely, transforming the once beautiful face into a mask of immobility, unable to express emotion. While she believed this to be the negligence of human hands, the medical community blamed it on a rare genetic joke. Regardless of where the truth lies, the result remains a tragedy. Julia is trapped in her own body, with eyes that can never fully close, staring at the harshness of her hasty choices. If Julia's story is one of immobility, Carol Bryan's journey is a battle against continuous distortion. At the age of 47, the prime of a woman's life, Carol only wished for a little magic to fill the gaps of time on her face. But what was injected into her body was not magic, but a strange compound that would forever be foreign to the human form. Her body reacted violently. Her face became swollen and deformed to the point where she had no choice but to live in exile within her own home, hiding from all eyes, even those of her loved ones. The physical pain, compounded by emotional suffering, pushed her to the brink of despair. The climax of the tragedy came when the light was permanently taken from one of her eyes after an attempt to correct her mistake. But from that darkness, Carol found another kind of light, the light of courage. She stepped out of hiding, using her scars to warn the world. Her story is a painful testament that sometimes the price of beauty is not paid in money, but in one's vision and soul. Stepping out of the dark files, we encounter a dazzling yet haunting extreme of the cosmetic world, the absolute worship of artificial beauty. Tara Jane, an Australian woman, decided to use her vast fortune not for business investments, but for a bolder project to transform herself into a living version of the toy world. For Tara, flesh and bones are not the limits of biology, but just raw materials for a sculpture that needs to be exaggerated and amplified to the extreme. For Tara, natural balance is an outdated concept. She steadfastly pursues an anti-gravity aesthetic ideal where curves are pushed to the very limit of imagination. Despite the red cards of warnings from the medical community about the fragile bone structure bearing an artificial load too heavy for her body, Tara does not back down. She views her body as an architectural work where she is willing to challenge the limits of physics to achieve the surreal image she desires. Now Tara has become the center of media attention, a controversial symbol of the freedom to control one's appearance. But behind the glamorous photos on social media lies a larger unanswered question about the limits of human endurance. Her story is not just about one individual, but a lens that reflects the true culture of the digital age, where the line between the desire to upgrade oneself and the rejection of reality is becoming increasingly fragile and harder to distinguish than ever before. Next, we remember Pete Burns, the rebellious soul of the band Dead or Alive. For this artist, cosmetic surgery was never just about the mundane desire to be beautiful. It was an addiction to art, a yearning for transformation. He saw his face as a canvas never meant to be finished, where he was willing to break down old structures and rebuild from scratch. Over 300 surgeries meant over 300 times he challenged the limits of creation to satisfy his wild, vibrant, and obsessive artistic ego. Pete lived, sang, and transformed his appearance with the same intense, breathless force. For him, every scar or medical complication wasn't an accident, but the inevitable cost of the perfection he sought. Despite his health being eroded by chemicals and surgeries, Pete never uttered the words, regret. He lived every second according to his own aesthetic philosophy, turning his body into an eternal construction site of redesign until his heart stopped beating. The passing of Pete Burns left the world with a complex and thought-provoking legacy. He was both a symbol of absolute freedom in defining personal identity and a lighthouse, offering a stern warning about the limits of the human body. His story is the clearest proof of the conflict between the infinite desires of the mind and the finite nature of the biological body. That sometimes the most beautiful crystal vase can shatter if we try to sculpt it too many times. The next story takes us into the most dangerous gray area of the beauty industry: unlicensed clinics. Raji Narinesing, a woman with a burning desire to perfect her feminine identity, unknowingly walked into a sophisticated trap due to financial barriers. She placed her trust in a fraud, posing in a white coat, believing she had found the door to her dreams, only to realize it was a gateway to an endless nightmare. In that unlicensed room, what was injected into her body wasn't a medical serum to nourish her beauty, but a deadly compound intended only for industrial projects. Her biological body immediately began to resist this violent invasion. The strange materials began to harden and clump under her skin, turning her once soft features into rigid lumps. Her face quite literally was transformed into a concrete architectural block, heavy and immobile, burying her original appearance completely. Raji endured a dark era, confining herself within four walls to escape the shame and cruel nicknames of the world. But the miracle in this story doesn't lie in the tragedy, but in the resurrection. After a painful medical journey to peel back and remove the toxic remnants, Raji bravely stepped into the light. Now she no longer runs away but stands as a warrior, using her story as a beacon to warn the world of the high price of cheap promises in the black market. Madonna is not just a name. She is an empire that has shaped the very essence of contemporary pop culture. Throughout her illustrious career, she has never bowed to any rules, not even the cruel law of aging. But in recent appearances under the spotlight, this legend has left the world stunned. She seems to be fighting alone in a hopeless battle against nature, determined to preserve the glow of youth at any cost, even if it means rewriting the very features that made history. The astonishment of the public does not come from her singing, but from an appearance that has become so foreign it's hard to recognize. Her deep interventions to fill and tighten her skin have inadvertently erased the iconic features that made her famous. Her face now seems to be covered by a mist of artificial aesthetics, puffed up and losing the flexibility of natural expressions. It's the moment when one realizes that sometimes artificial perfection creates a vast distance from the intimacy of being human. However, Madonna's story should not be viewed as a subject for mockery, but rather as a somber note for reflection on the immense pressure of ageism in the entertainment capital. It exposes a raw truth, when even a powerful woman holding the world in her hands feels fear at the sight of a wrinkle. How many of us have the courage to face and peacefully accept the process of aging? Madonna serves as a mirror, reflecting the shared fear of an era obsessed with the eternal youth. For a decade, Blac Chyna's name reigned as the queen of voluptuous beauty, emblematic of an era where artificial curves were absolutely revered. But standing at the pinnacle of attention, she suddenly created a psychological earthquake by declaring, "It's time to return." This wasn't a media stunt, but the awakening of a woman weary from carrying the heavy societal expectations on her flesh. She decided to dismantle the monument she had built to find the breath of raw truth. She embarked on a painful yet necessary journey of deconstruction, melting away chemical masks and removing the implants once regarded as treasures. She called this a sacred purification process, not only to free her body from foreign objects, but to cleanse her soul. She longed to shed the dazzling cloak called Blac Chyna, to return to being Angela White, a mother, a simple woman with raw emotions. It was a pilgrimage to her true self, where she chose to trade fake perfection for peace of mind. Her brave act sparked the make-under movement, a powerful wave challenging the norms of industrial beauty. Angela White showed the world that true allure is not found in measurable numbers or the weight of silicone, but in the absolute freedom of a soul no longer imprisoned by prejudice. The highest form of beauty, it turns out, is not about adding, but the courage to let go of what does not belong to you. Do you agree with the idea of changing to find yourself, or believe natural beauty is unique? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to hear your perspective. If you found this video informative and valuable, don't forget to give me a like to support the channel. And most importantly, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell right now. There are many more mysterious stories about the human world waiting for us to uncover together in the upcoming videos. Thank you for sticking with me until the very end. Goodbye and see you soon.